Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversation. Also, those of you who are in Southern California, if you get a chance to make it out, I'm going to be speaking today at the Gun Law Conference, the California Gun Law Conference in San Diego. Good time's going to be had by all. I'm going to be talking about activism, political activism, yada, yada, yada. So, once again, if you get a chance, make it out. If you go to Gun Owners of San Diego, if you go to their Facebook page, you can get all of the details there. All right, so let's get into the conversation today. You all know that Florida has always been considered, while it's considered a swing state, it's as a part of the South, Florida has always been kind of considered one of those states that's like, I mean, that's like, you know, the home of the Second Amendment, a place where the right to keep and bear arms means something. Well, unfortunately, we've seen of late, after the Parkland shooting, there's been some changes, kind of, at least a little bit of changes in the philosophy there in Florida, at least as far as the governor and some of the members of the legislature. They recently passed some legislation that, well, has folks on both sides of the aisle kind of riled. And some stuff that people on both sides of the aisle kind of can support, I guess. Anyway, let's go ahead and I'll show you a quick news clip on that, and then when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about it with a good friend of ours.
You know, many who push for this law don't think it's perfect, but they are hailing its quick passage, and it's now officially the law here.
This morning, the dawn of a new gun law in the Sunshine State, a little more than 3 weeks after 17 people died in a mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
This is a start for us.
At Florida's state capitol on Friday, parents of some of the victims joined Governor Rick Scott as he signed the bill into law.
The state of Florida will forever honor the incredible impact your loved ones have had on our state. They will never be forgotten.
The new Florida law imposes a 3-day waiting period for any gun purchase, raises the minimum age to buy a gun to 21, bans bump stocks, sets aside millions in mental health funding, and creates a voluntary program to arm some teachers, which the governor opposed but didn't veto because it's left up to local districts. The Broward County Teachers Union said it wants no part of that provision.
We don't want a gun on our person. We don't want our colleagues with a gun on our person. We are teachers.
Within hours of the signing, the National Rifle Association filed suit against the state of Florida, taking aim at the age limit increase. In a statement writing, quote, "Swift action is needed to prevent young adults in Florida from being treated as second-class citizens when it comes to the right to keep and bear arms." The new law does not ban assault weapons, but for some student survivors from Stoneman, it is a welcomed starting point.
I'm glad we didn't get.
All right, so welcome to the show, good friend Mike Piwowarski of the Arms Room Radio. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Craig. How are you? And thanks for having me on.
Well, we appreciate you coming on with us. It's been more than a few technical difficulties, but we got you.
Yeah, that's all right. Started on my end and it carried through right to your end, and now we got.
I think you infected my computer.
I don't know if it works like that, but yeah, I'll go for it.
There you go. There you go. All right, so we just showed a clip talking about the new law that was passed and all the stuff that was in it. You know, first of all, let's take a step back. How have things or the atmosphere kind of changed since the shooting in Parkland?
You know, I think for the most part, it's the media is probably attacking it here as well as they're attacking it by you. You have the media giving the voice to, I'll call them what they are, you know, Bloomberg and Everytown mouthpieces, you know, the teenage funded mouthpieces that now have the microphone in their hands thanks to the liberal media.
All right, so now you see all this legislation, or at least everything that was in this legislation, and what was odd to me was, with Rick Scott being, supposedly on our side,
supposedly,
was that the one thing that was in it that we really liked, it was something he opposed, or said he opposed anyway.
He's always been opposed to guns in school, and that's just, his personal belief. I'm not sure why he's always had that belief. He doesn't like guns in schools. He doesn't support anybody but law enforcement officers in the school with guns. And, we could talk at length on the effectiveness of the law enforcement we've seen at the past couple of school shootings. We know for a fact that, the school shootings happen and they're over in 2, 4, 7, 8 minutes, whatever it happens to be. Even the one law enforcement officer there can't run around. We had 11 buildings down at Parkland, one of them 3 stories, 3,000 students. He heard ricochets and echoes, and I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt. He ran to the wrong place. They saw him running fast to a building, taking cover, facing where he thought the fire was coming from. It doesn't work. But back to where we were going, he doesn't want more guns at school. So the one part of the bill that he finally acquiesced to was this new marshals program where only certain people in the schools, this is kind of odd the way they picked this too, the counselors, those that happen to be in the shop teachers, the coaches, the junior ROTC staff, and librarians of all things can carry firearms. The regular daily teachers that teach that class 6, 7 periods a day, they're not going to be eligible for this program. They get these ones that are eligible, be able to go out and for 132 hours, only 132 hours, to be able to exercise a constitutional right, by the way, to be able to carry those firearms on campus.
Well, now it sounds to me like the Republicans just gave away the store. They gave away 18 to 20-year-olds being able to purchase a long gun. I don't understand this. How is it that at 18, I'm old enough to be legally responsible for everything? I'm old enough to go to war, to kill for my country, just not to defend myself. I just don't understand how I become a legal full citizen except for being able to exercise my Second Amendment rights. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The U.S. Code's pretty clear on it. On the federal level, 17 is the militias are defined as 17 to 45 years old. Every adult male will be able to be a member of the militia. Every adult male will be a member of the militia. That's the irregular militia. The regular militias are the National Guards and the reserves and the naval militia. So the U.S. codes would seem there to say 17 and up, you're allowed to take a firearm to defend our country and our citizens and our people right here, but maybe not yourself. 26th Amendment says that you get to vote at 18 years old. So we've got it in U.S. code. We've got it in the 26th Amendment. We also have in U.S. code that you can enlist on your own without a parent's permission at 18 years of age to become a member of the military. So on the federal level, it's pretty clear that 18 years old seems to be that dividing line where you become an adult. This is a state's issue. This is a states' rights issue when you hear things like, oh, well, you could drive. Oh, well, you could drink alcohol. Those ages are different. They're not covered in the Constitution. There's no right to drink. There's no right to drive. None of that's covered in the Constitution or in U.S. code. Those are states' rights issues. So put those out of your mind if you're hearing those arguments. 18 and over. So now when the governor comes along and says 18 to 20, he's effectively discriminated against one solid group of citizens, 18 to 20 years old. I know for a fact, I've done the research. That's 5 million citizens in the state of Florida. Up to 5 million citizens. I'm sorry, because they break it down to 21 and over. So we're looking at a couple million citizens in the state of Florida that were just discriminated against. Adults, by the way, that are kicked out of their parents' house at 18, if you're a good parent. You go to college, you go wherever, you start your job, but now you're not allowed to defend yourself. You've got to go on one of the hardest times in your life, 18 to 20, when you've barely got enough scratch to buy meals. But now you can't defend yourself. You're not allowed to. You can't possess that firearm. You can't purchase that firearm.
What do you tell a single mother at 20 when she says she just wants to be able to protect herself and her child in the event that someone breaks into her home?
No, sorry, because it's for the children. That's what you tell them, because that's what the governor and our House of Representatives and our state Senate just told us.
Were there any individuals who normally you would expect to be on our side that weren't on this one?
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. Listen, this happened so quick, so a lot of the state level organizations, they didn't have time to ramp up and get support. They didn't have anybody throwing millions of dollars at them, Bloomberg, so that they could, get the kids on the bus and take them up there as fast as they could. So it did happen pretty quick. What I saw from a lot of the Republicans and a lot of the pro-gun side, the pro-gun that the elected pro-gun officials, the A+, the A voters in the NRA, was, hey, it's a bad law. Just let it go through and we'll work on it this year and next year. It's a bad law. The 18 to 21 is probably going to get repealed or overturned or an injunction. So just let it go through and we'll fight it later when it dies down. I would
encourage you guys, whatever groups that are local there, I would run someone I would primary every single one of those members who voted for this mess. They need to know that you can't just throw people's civil rights out like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They threw away those civil rights, and then they, in addition to telling those 18 to 20 that you can't have a firearm, they put the 3-day wait now on. And I know that seems like very, very quick for you out in California, but they put the 3-day wait on the handgun purchases now in Florida, on the rifles, the long gun purchases in Florida, which means now that person that's 21 and over, that whether it's a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody from work who gets threatened, somebody that's never been a gun person before, didn't go out and get their concealed weapons permit. Well, they've found out that they've been threatened. Their lives have been threatened, and they fear for themselves. So now they get to walk down to the gun store, pick the gun out that they want, lay down the money, and then go home and hide in the closet for 3 days until the gun store calls them and tells them it's okay to come pick it up. Because that background check, Craig, and you know this, that background check is done while you're standing there. It takes 15 minutes tops on a busy day. There's no 3-day wait for background checks we got to wait for the background check to come in. No. They also call it the cooling off period, if you remember from the Brady bill. Well, this guy from Parkland, you know what he did? He had that gun 13 months before. Well, I think that's a pretty good cooling off period. This is nothing but more feel-good legislation that takes the hands out of law-abiding citizens. It's crap. I'm sorry, it's crap.
Well, now you guys are in the Northwest as well. In Oregon, how Dix has decided they're gonna not sell guns to 18 to 20-year-olds. There's now a guy in Oregon suing Dix and Walmart for age discrimination.
Yeah, the NRA did that here in Florida pretty quickly with the age discrimination. I've talked to some of the other insiders here in the state. Perhaps some gun dealers will be filing suit as well because you've discriminated against. Well, you haven't discriminated against. You've taken away our ability to make money. Gun dealers, you've taken away the gun dealers' ability to make money selling to lawful people that could own under the U.S. Constitution, 18 to 20. I could prove damages. Gun dealers can prove damages that they've received since this law has gone into place. They can show that how many people they've sold 18 to 20. And by the way, none of which have gone out and committed a mass murder. But who cares? It's knee-jerk legislation. It's the same thing we saw after Sandy Hook up in the Northeast. It's the same thing we saw out in Colorado. It happened. It's horrible. And there should be a law that you can't make a law so quick. It should allow time.
Well, but and the thing is how these guys allowed teenagers to basically shame them into doing this.
Right. And does anybody out there think that these teenagers came up with these storylines on their own? They did. I mean, the buses pretty much said every town for gun safety on the side as they drove to the state capitol.
They put tons of money into the astroturfing of these kids.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Some of them become the mouthpieces, and it's horrible to watch. I went to a town hall yesterday where I was obviously standing there on the pro-gun side and just watching the rehearsed statements of these children. Listen, I'm a 14-year-old man, and I believe that, well, hold on. First off, you're not. You might be 14, and maybe someday you'll be a man, but right now you're 14. And I appreciate your passion and your activism. But when you stand here and quote every town for crazy moms against everything and Mother Jones statistics to me, you should stop. You should take the time to examine both sides, then come up with your own point of view.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. These kids are being sent out. They're being fed information or facts, or I don't want to call it fact because they're not fact. They're being fed talking points They're being sent out and like, hey, look, you're going to be on TV.
That's it. And I call it faction. They're giving their factions so they can talk on TV. And that's exactly right, because they all get on the social media and they love it. And now they're telling them you could be on the big screen and the big computer. Woo, that's too much to resist. I'll say whatever you want me to say.
Yeah, and the thing is, but even that, I expect that from kids. What I expect is for the adults in the room to actually stop and say, you know what? Let's take a look at the policy. Will these policies make a difference? And if not, then let's not implement policies just for the sake of doing something.
No, they want to, and you know as well as I do, there's it's probably around half of the country that's torn on the gun issue, and as soon as they see that opportunity, they're going to jump forward. They're going to put forth their agenda, whether it's truth or not. We know this from the previous election. How many videos did we have to watch of people crying because she didn't get elected? You know, it was clearly discrimination for the reason she didn't get elected. And this is what they're doing. The opportunity to spread their lies and get their way, which is something you and I won't do. Will not do ever.
Speaking of that, Mike, I need honesty here. Did you make your wife vote for Trump? You did, didn't you?
I didn't make my wife vote for Trump the first time. On some of the other votes, I may have let her done once or twice for her other party, but you know, the 6 times I asked her to vote, I think she did 4 for Trump. So we're okay.
It's funny. I always laugh. People say that, and I say, you know, my wife voted for Trump. I didn't. You know,
Yeah.
Hey, we talked about it. I'm in California.
Right.
Clinton was going to win anyway. I figure, why vote? If it had made a difference, it would have. I would have. But didn't, so I didn't. But she did.
That'd hurt it if it come down to 1 vote and then they actually name you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would have happened. Hey, before we go, let our folks know how they can hear you and, you know, the when, where's, all that.
Yeah, armsroomradio.com. You go to armsroomradio.com. You can see us there. We air live on Sundays on the East Coast from 3 to 5 p.m. So that's out noon to 2 out there where you are. Unless Florida changes daylight savings time, then that's going to mess everything up again, too, because they're trying to vote that out. And you could go on armsroomradio.com and see all our past episodes as well.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I could use one of those myself.
It's St. Patrick's Day. Listen, I know it's coffee time there, but we're after lunch here, and it's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, no. It's quitting time. Oh, actually, let me clarify. This is pre-recorded, so I'm recording it at quitting time. But yeah, everyone else is watching it at coffee time.
I got my green, and I got my green bottle. Let's go have some St. Patrick's Day Second Amendment responsibly citizens fun.
Sounds like a plan. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to like and share these videos. Connect people to our YouTube channel. Get them to subscribe, as well as like our Facebook page. This is the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Remember, got to use them or you're going to lose them. Mike, everybody else, we'll see you later.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.